In case you missed our first quarter, here is a quick recap.
Writing about science, communicating science, talking to people about science. It's kind of what I've been doing my whole life, trying to get people to understand science. And that's actually very lucrative. And I don't think many people know that. But combining a science background with a marketing knowledge, which I've learned all my marketing expertise through working with different clients, is actually very powerful, very lucrative.
I think another strength of ours is that we are first a science community. So I know it's like most science cafes are like maybe informal settings where you are whatever you're doing is for the public. You're trying to educate the public and get to inform them and make them understand, appreciate science. But for us, we are first I think it's more of let's build ourselves, and then when we are strengthened, we can use that knowledge to impact our world, in fact, impact the wider society. So I think those are areas that we are.
Team Genius Squad supports all learning styles by providing visual-based educational activities. The genius behind it? 10-year-old Ava Simmons, who did not let her reading challenges stop her from becoming a STEM leader, who provides various literacy and entrepreneurial programs globally.
In 2021, during the pandemic, I was diagnosed with a reading disorder. So I started Team Genius Squad to help me with my reading and math skills and to encourage others. STEM to me is fun activities and exploring more and learning how STEM is a part of our daily lives and how it helps us in so many important ways, and encouraging others to know why STEM is important and what it does. And learning that never let your challenge define your success or future, and you can always find your inner genius in things that you love.
For us, the biggest thing, one of our biggest challenges is funding. So that's why we do sell merchandise, because trying to get donations and funding is a little bit hard for us. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, but everybody needs funding. And so the way that we do the majority of ours is to able to build and brand products and sell them, and then take the proceeds from that. But I think that's one of our biggest things, is trying to get individuals to consistently donate so that we can go out in the community more and give away a lot more things.
We are a youth leadership organization, and we say we're working to empower the next generation of kind leaders. Everything we do is built around the idea of kindness, empathy, and youth leadership. And we work with young leaders all around the country, ages 13 to 22. So high school and college students who have an idea to make the world a better place. And we give them the tools, the funding, as well as the one-on-one mentoring and peer support to be able to do that. And it's amazing to see the impact they're having. And projects range from, tackling social justice issues, to food insecurity, to closing the gender gap in STEM education, to working in local communities to make sure we're closing the tech gap and making sure people all people have access to computers and technology to be able to advance in today's world. So there's such a variety of projects we fund, and but the main core in them is they're all youth led, and it's all based around this idea of how do you be a kind leader while making a social impact.
What is the main benefit that this brings teachers and students?
It gives them a real chance to do real biotechnology experiments and other types of scientific studies in their labs. And we even receive material sometimes from schools that are closing down or just moving, and they have older stuff they don't want anymore. And we're able to rehome that material with typically Title I schools that have much less budget to buy materials. So I just think that the way that people really get excited about science and learn about science is through actually experiencing, adding an acid to a base and watching the pH change, and like I said, extracting maybe DNA from a strawberry and saying, wow, that's crazy, look at that. And so that, I think, is what sparks the interest in people that we hope will become the scientists of the future. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, just that we will have a more scientifically literate society going forward, that people cannot be afraid of science, but can understand what it's about, and take that kind of experience in high school maybe forward as they go into whatever career they end up in.
Conference took time to recognize the importance of public engagement with science through the presentations of 3 prestigious awards. So the first one was a AAAS Philip Hague Abelson Prize, which was awarded to Sekazi Mtingwa, a theoretical physicist. The award recognizes someone who has made significant contributions to the scientific community, whether through research, policy, or civil service in the US, as the AAAS states on its website.
I don't think so. There's a lot of issues with ChatGPT. The technology is very kind of cool to have a robot just come up with blogs and stuff for you. But the issues that exist with ChatGPT is it uses outdated information. It kind of sometimes makes up information. People have been playing around with it in the science fiction world, and they weren't super happy with it. And then the other thing is, if everyone uses ChatGPT to write like movie scripts, news articles, then it kind of gets rid of the novelty, and then we're all just using this one technology, and all of the biases inherent in that technology will kind of just be amplified for everyone. So I still feel that despite the excitement of ChatGPT, that humans will always be the best at content creation. Because I personally would not use ChatGPT as a science writer, because especially if you have the content knowledge needed to write something, like you're writing an article about neuroscience and you're a neuroscientist, you don't really need ChatGPT to write the article for you.
We have several students who take our programs and say, oh, I never knew I liked science, or something along those lines. Because I think, like you're saying, some of our exposure to science lessons or scientists or whatever it might be, I think it's sometimes hard for some students to connect with that. So I feel that some environmental topics help kids kind of almost like hook the kids, and then they realize like, oh, I do like science and STEM, and I can see myself moving forward in these types of roles. So I think the environment is a pathway to STEM, and STEM is a pathway to exposing kids to or giving them an opportunity to develop new passions, but also see a career path in STEM. And then a lot of the STEM fields are, I feel, those students are going to be what drives solutions to some of our issues that we're having.
The mission for Change is Simple is to instill environmental and social responsibility in children through experiential learning that inspires action for a healthier planet and community.
Great question. I think the biggest thing is convincing people it's worth spending money on, because when people think of science, they think of learning, they think of drag, they think of work, and the Drunken Laboratory is the total opposite. It's very fun, it's very competitive, and you don't know what to expect next. And I think with science, you kind of put in a box of all the different industries, but at the Drunken Lab, you don't know what we're going to talk about. We might talk about astrology, we might talk about chemistry, we might talk about bio, or we might talk about Drake. So that's what makes it so invigorating for our guests.